Welcome, everyone, to the Village Vitality series. My name is Aline, and today's class we will be focusing on kindness. And as you all may know from personal experience, we tend to be the hardest on ourselves, and we're really mean to ourselves. We have often a lot of negative self talk, whether that's centered on our bodies or our health or anything else. You probably are resonating with that statement that you tend to be your toughest critic. So, with today's class, we'll be focusing on the heart chakra. In yoga, this is called Anahata chakra, and Anahata means unstruck. It represents unconditional love. And unconditional love means that you love regardless of any other factor. It doesn't matter if you suddenly become unable to walk, you still love yourself unconditionally. You didn't just love yourself when you were able to be more mobile. Um, that's just an example. So, with this, just to give you a refresher, because I've talked about the chakras before, they're basically wheels. So, chakra translates to wheel, and they're thought of as energy centers in the body. They think of it as a line running parallel to the spine and kind of in the center of your body. And you have your root chakra, your sacral chakra, solar plexus, heart, neck, third eye, and crown. And so, with all of these chakras, it's basically the way that prana or your life force flows through the body. And so, some of you may be getting ready to turn that TV off. You're like, what is this she's talking about? Trust me, I was very skeptical myself. When I first came into yoga, I was really attracted to just the physical part of it, the way it made my body feel, the way it gave me more flexibility, um, the way it felt like it relieved stress for me. And so I approached all of the energetic stuff very skeptically. As most of you know, I have a really strong anatomy background, very science based. And I even have been converted, so to speak, into really believing there's something more to this. We might not know the mechanism as to why we see these changes in the body, but they're there. It happens. And so, so just give it a chance, basically. I'm just saying, have an open mind. With the heart chakra, the gland associated with this chakra is our thymus gland. It is above the heart, between the lungs. And the interesting thing about this gland is that it is very active when we're younger. It helps with the immune system. As we age, it becomes less and less active. And some older adults, basically, this gland does nothing anymore once you reach more advanced age. And there are different schools of thought on why. Why is this the case? And the purpose of this gland is, or one of the purposes, is it trains T cells that are produced in other glands of the body. And T cells are part of our immune system that go and attack foreign invader cells. So it's a pretty critical um, function of the body. And with the thymus gland, so some schools of thought say, well, maybe once you reach a certain age, we don't need to train these cells anymore. But other schools of thought say, no, this happens due to less stimulation, less activity, and we need to stimulate these. There have been studies done in HIV patients and cancer patients where they have gone and stimulated the thymus gland, and it helps with immune function, or at least it helps with T cells in the body. So, lots of information. Basically, just trying to help you with the link and the correlation between what we know now in 2020 with our science and our research, and what the ancient yogis said, 1,000 years ago. So it's kind of neat to see those correlations when we look back at the history and we look at what we know now. So all of that to say, we're going to try to manually stimulate this space with a bunch of chest opening and heart opening. This is also, even if you don't believe any of the energetic-y stuff or any of what I just talked about, at least you're going to get some really good chest opening, which helps with your posture overall. It helps with ease and whatnot. So, all right, let's get ready to practice. Now, today, I wanted to guide you through, instead of a set breathing technique, we're going to go through a guided visualization called loving kindness meditation. And with this, I want you to make sure you're really comfortable. So we're not worrying so much about our posture and whether we're engaged and upright, because I want you to be able to really fully visualize what I'll guide you through. Also, let me know, reach out to me if you like that guided meditation. This may be something that I expand on, perhaps doing videos with just visualizations and meditations where you're probably laying down on your couch or on your bed or whatnot, or possibly in person. So let me know if you liked it or not. In terms of your setup today, I've got the mat lengthwise because we will be doing one wide-legged posture in the chair. So you may want to set it up the same way, but not a big deal if you don't. Remember, the mat is mostly to help your chair from sliding around on the floor. So make sure that the front legs of your chair are on the mat, but you have plenty of space in front of you. We'll be doing some lunge work in the chair. I also have my towel for some hip circle assistance. So for our loving kindness meditation, go ahead and relax back in your chair. Still trying to keep the heart open, so we're not closing in this space. We're trying to keep it open, but we're trying to have the body relaxed as well. So with the feet, just get them comfortable. Hands can rest in the lap. You can cross the fingers. Some people, you might like to bring a hand to the heart just to resonate with the space more, but it's totally up to you. So once you get situated, go ahead and close your eyes. And just take a moment to tap in and observe how you're feeling physically today. Any parts of your body that might be resistant, in pain, your troublemaker spots. But also notice spots that feel good, that feel spacious, at ease. And as you take these few moments to observe, feel as if you send your breath to those tight spaces, those painful spaces, as if visualizing sending the breath there could pry open, could assist with pain relief. And now notice any spaces in the body that you're holding tension, and just try to actively release those spaces. Maybe you have to wiggle. So like if it's your shoulders, maybe you kind of have to wiggle them out, relax them down, relaxing the eyebrows and the mouth, relaxing the thighs. Maybe those knees will fall open to the sides just a little bit. And as best as you can, just maintain nice deep inhales and exhales. A little deeper than just your regular automatic breathing. And now begin to visualize the space of your heart and a tiny flame, a golden flame, in that space where your heart is located. And this tiny golden flame represents your selflessness, your ability to give unconditional love to yourself and to others. And now begin to visualize someone in your life that's going through some struggles. It could be health issues, family issues, financial issues, whatever it is, or maybe all of those. Pick a person that needs love. And start to visualize that person as if they were standing in front of you. Seeing their face, their hair, their clothing. As many details as you can create in your mind's eye of this person. And once you have that person strongly visualized, begin to see into the space of their heart and seeing this blackness there. This blackness that represents their pain, their suffering. And now, as you continue to breathe deeply here, with each inhale that you take, that blackness begins to stir, begins to swirl and move, and start to move up towards that person's nostrils. Each inhale, this movement increases until that blackness begins to leave their body. And you see it exiting with each inhale. You draw that blackness towards your own nostrils. Slowly drawing that pain and that suffering into your own body, into your nostrils, down towards that tiny flame at your heart space. And with each inhale, as you draw that blackness into yourself, it circles the flame. As you draw the blackness in, you see now the tiny flame in that other person's heart space. That blackness now fully incorporated into your body, surrounding your heart. And taking a deep inhale now, that blackness, instead of surrounding the flame, starts to merge with the flame, representing you taking on someone else's pain and suffering. And with your next inhale, see that flame burst through the body, filling your entire body with this glowing golden light. The blackness disappears. And then looking at the person whose pain and suffering you took away, you see that their body is filled with this golden glow. feel that warmth, that sense of love and ease in both you and the other person. Taking several more deep breaths here, just noticing what emotions surface. Staying with that visualization, the golden light, the happiness, even smiling faces. And set an intention to dedicate your practice today, every movement that you take, every breath, to this person. And when you're ready, slowly begin to come to the edge of your seat. Perhaps just keeping the eyelids heavy. So you're just opening the eyes enough to bring yourself up to seated. Or you can keep the eyes closed. Coming to seated at the edge of your chair, finding that seated mountain pose or seated Tadasana. Rooting down through the base of the body, pushing into the feet, pushing into the hips. Sorry, that meditation gets me every time. Pressing down to lift up, just feeling that heart shining forward. And we'll begin many circular movements today. So on an exhale, dropping that left ear towards the left shoulder, and then rolling that chin towards the chest. Inhaling to push the right ear to the right shoulder and the head up. So again, exhaling, bringing that chin to chest. Inhaling as you press opposite ear to shoulder and then the head back to center. Circle like that a couple more times in this direction. Trying to link the breath and the movement. As if you couldn't initiate even moving the head without first exhaling. And then from that chin to chest position, you couldn't even begin to move the head without first inhaling. Take one more circle in that direction, and then we'll reverse. And so once you find your head back to center, re-energize the body because you may have started slouching, totally natural. Open that chest forward. Draw the shoulder blades just a little bit behind you. So you don't want to be super powerfully pinching the shoulder blades together, but you want to feel just a little bit extra engagement there. And let's take about 5 circles in the opposite direction. So exhaling now, right ear to right shoulder. As you continue the exhale, the chin drops to the chest. And then inhaling to shift left ear to left shoulder. And as you finish the inhale, that head lifts back to center. Take about 4 more circles. Moving at your breath rhythm. And if you can't quite manage to do one exhale to do that half of the circle, just make sure you initiate the movement with the exhale and you initiate the movement with the inhale. Intention goes a long way. And actually, we've seen that through research of the brain. And just the intention of moving a body part lights up the neurons in that part of the body. Fascinating stuff. That's why we're practicing today with an intention of bringing love and kindness to someone else, because it can be a little more powerful even than practicing for ourselves. Let's move into some shoulder circles now. So if you would like to, you can do both shoulders simultaneously, or you can do kind of opposite directions with both. So try both ways. To do them together, you inhale the shoulders up, exhale, circle them back and down. And then, of course, we eventually reverse directions. To do them opposites, as you circle one shoulder forward, you push the other back. As you bring this one up, you push this one down. As you bring this one back, you bring this one forward, so it looks more like this. There's a little bit of twisting happening in the torso, which is fine. So just decide how you'd like to move the shoulders, giving about 5 circles in each direction. Just staying with those nice deep breaths. And so go ahead and reverse directions if you haven't already. Getting about 5 circles the opposite way now. Moving with your breath as much as you can. So inhaling a shoulder up, exhaling it down. And when you've completed those circles, go ahead and come back to center. Grab your towel if you'd like to use it, or just the right hand. And so if you're using the towel, you're threading it underneath, holding the edges. If you're using no towel today, then try just the right hand. We're circling that hip. Really, it feels like we're circling the knee, but the purpose here is to get into the hip joint, get it warmed up, pop it a couple times. And just getting that synovial fluid moving. I spoke with a resident recently that went to see a specialist about her arthritis. And that specialist said, you know, we used to say, try not to move the joints too much when they're hurting. But now we're looking at you should keep moving it, because the less you move it, the less blood flow is stimulated to the joint. I might not have mentioned yet, but reverse directions. Less blood flow is stimulated to the joint, less nutrients, and so we need to keep moving it, even if there's some discomfort. So that's why I tell you to try to work with pain-free range of motion if you can, but if you already have pain, then you just try to work with a reasonable amount of discomfort. And you'll kind of know when it gets to the point where you feel you shouldn't move that joint anymore. All right. Go ahead and release that knee down. Straighten that leg out. Bring that right hand back behind you for support. Send that left arm out. We're going to lift that right leg slightly to just circle the wrist and the ankle. And so when we circle that wrist, notice I'm moving my fingers all sorts of ways. Trying not to rotate the arm too much, but that will happen. So there will be some rotation at the elbow. And reverse directions. So a part of the reason why I'm having you do these circular movements today is I do think that that's showing our bodies kindness. Circular movements can be really good for the joint because it incorporates almost all of the different joint movements in one movement. So instead of just doing this or this, we're doing it all in one movement. Go ahead and relax. Let's circle the other leg. So either left hand under the leg or towel under the leg. Start with those nice big circles. We're trying to keep the torso from shifting too much here, because we really want to get into that hip joint. Trying to maintain that posture as best as you can here. Go ahead and reverse directions of your circles. Stay with those deep breaths. Whenever your mind starts to wander, if that happens, or if you start to get a little overwhelmed with any sensations that you're feeling, try to come back to your intention, back to visualizing the ease and the wonderful feeling that you could possibly be giving someone else, that person that you've dedicated your class to. And release that leg. Go ahead and give yourself some support, bringing that left arm behind you and right arm out, left leg out. Here, we're not focusing so much on engaging the core, but you should feel a little bit of engagement by lifting that leg. You just want to make sure you're not letting this happen. So we want to try to stay as open in the chest and as lifted as possible. So circling, and if doing both is too much, go ahead and bring both hands down and just circle the ankle, and then quickly circle the wrist as we're transitioning to the next exercise. Reverse directions. Remember, you're trying to work through the toes, work through the fingers. Trying not to move that elbow too much. This is kind of working on that brain here too, coordination and all of that good stuff. So we're strengthening those neural pathways. When you're ready, and exhale, we'll release that exercise. And coming up to seated again, let's take our first vinyasa sequence. So I'm going to encourage you, if you normally do hands on the thighs to come down into your forward fold, try the swan dive today. Again, we're focusing on that chest opening, heart movements. And so I'd like you to try to lead with the heart today. And I almost forgot, just thought of it. Let's do circular cat and cow before we get into our sequence. So with this one, you're traditionally you're moving cat, cow, and you're kind of in this sagittal plane only, moving forward and back. We want to move a little more in all the planes of movement and get a little bit more spinal manipulation and muscle activation. So instead of just going front and back, you're going to try to go, maybe it's easiest to start here and then start to circle over to the right. So I'm kind of dropping that left shoulder down, circling that rib cage forward, coming into my back bend now, and then circling over to the left and then into my little fold. So inhaling and exhaling. You can let your head get into the movement. It doesn't have to look exactly like this. It'll definitely look different in your body. But we're trying to go for a little more of a circular movement. Really plant down through the feet. Should feel pretty nice to the spine. And reverse directions. So once you get back here, now you're shifting over to the left, slowly starting to open up forward, and then circling over to the right, coming down and back. So inhaling here and exhaling here. Take 2 more circles. Again, trying to get your head involved with the movement as well. And your next inhale lifts you up. Now we're ready to continue on with our flow sequence. On an inhale, lift those arms, find length through the whole top of the body. On an exhale, open the arms out to the sides. Keep that length in the spine as much as you can while you hinge forward. And then release those hands down as you release the head, chest, and shoulders. And here, go ahead and roll the shoulders, shake the head yes and no. Just let that head dangle heavily down. Unless, as I've mentioned before, that you've been told you should not. Bring your head below your heart. And on an inhale, start to lift the head. Now slide the hands to the thighs if you need that support. Or hands can reach back if you want to strengthen the back a little bit more. And come all the way up on an inhale. Grab hold of the chair here. So we're going to do a little sequence for heart opening. So you're grabbing the chair, palms facing in. On an inhale, press that chest forward. So I'm trying to back bend here like I'm pulling away from the chair. Shining that heart forward, sending that love out, lifting that chin. And from here, you're going to try to bend the elbows and squeeze the elbows together. Feel that increased stretch across the chest and relax. Stay in that back bend, though. On an exhale, squeeze again. It's a very subtle movement, but you'll feel it. Inhale, release, but stay in your back bend. Let's take one more time if you can. Exhaling to squeeze those elbows together and almost like back towards the chair. And inhale, release. And on an exhale, relax entirely. Very good. Next inhale draws that right knee up into the chest. See if you can grab hold here with the left hand in front of the shin. So of course your knee, well not of course, but your knee might not be as close into your chest. So it'll look a little different, but you'll still be trying to hold there in front of the shin, right below the knee joint. And on an exhale, take a twist over to that right side. The more you draw that knee in and a little across the body, you should feel a stretch maybe in the outer hip or the glute area, maybe into the back because we're twisting as well. So as you draw that knee in, you're trying to open that chest out. Shine that heart out, y'all. Relax the shoulders. Take a deep inhale here. And on your exhale, release the twist. Straighten that leg out. Bring the heel down to the ground. Let's take those arms and see if you can interlace your fingers behind your back. So you're trying to interlace those fingers. Relax the arms. This may be a pretty intense stretch for you already across the shoulders and the chest. We're going to take a deep inhale. Plant through that left foot. Exhale, hinge forward. So starting to feel that stretch in the hamstrings. Inhale, come back up. You guessed it, we're going to do it 2 more times. Sets of 3. I think I've said this before, but the first time, you're just kind of figuring it out. The second time, you're like, okay, I think I see what's going on here. The third time kind of seals the movement. So go ahead and hinge again. Hold here. If you can, you're holding the hands still, but know that you can always release them if it becomes too intense. Here, if it doesn't detract from your leg and back stretch, I want you to try to lift those hands away from your hips. So straightening the elbows, increasing that stretch across the front of the shoulder and the chest. Try to keep the spine long here, so don't let your chest cave forward and round. It may mean that you're not moving as deep into your stretch as you normally do, but that's okay, as long as you're still feeling it in both the leg and the chest. If this is just too much, though, release those hands to the thigh. But if you can, stay there in that chest stretch a couple more breaths, combining the heart opening with the opening of the hamstrings. On an inhale, if your hands are still clasped, you'll come up as if someone's pulling those hands back to lift you. And on an exhale, relax. Nice. From here, we're going to shift into a high lunge position. So if you want a little more challenge, you're trying to position your body without touching the chair for support. So let's start by shifting those hips all the way to the left. Notice my right hip is not really on the chair. It's pretty much hanging off. I'm going to root that left foot down, ankle under my knee. And then I'm going to try to slide that right leg under me. So here you may want to grab the chair for balance and support. Maybe you stay about right here, just trying to get that knee under the hip. But if you can, you're trying to wiggle and send that foot back any amount further towards straightening the leg, although that might not happen, and that's fine. So you want to feel like you're actively pressing into the feet here, probably a pretty deep stretch in the front of that hip. Inhale to send that right arm up. Now, if you feel pretty secure in the chair, see if you can send that left arm up as well. Otherwise, just keep the left hand down. We're going to work with what's called cactus arms. So take an inhale here. Again, if both arms can be lifted, do this with both. On your exhale, you're going to send those elbows out to the side, squeeze the shoulder blades together, and open the heart. So let's do that on an inhale, actually. And release. Stretch those arms back up. Take a deep inhale. Open that chest. Squeeze the elbows together, shoulder blades together, and release. One more time. Deep inhale. And exhale, release. I should have mentioned you can do that same thing just with one arm if you aren't letting go with that left hand. If it's possible for you, join the palms together, interlace the fingers. If you're only doing one arm right now, then you're just working with that one arm. We're going to take this into a bit of a back bend. So pressing the heart forward, lifting the chin, sending those hands back. Just really extending and opening in the chest and the ribs. Instead of dumping that chest forward, see if you can keep the rib cage over the hips. You'll feel a deeper stretch in the front of that hip that way. Take one more deep inhale here. And on your exhale, relax the whole body. Release that back leg, release the arms. Come on back to center. Finding Tadasana, your mountain pose. Seated version. Get ready to take that swan dive into your forward fold. On an inhale, float the arms overhead, lengthen. Exhale, hinge forward. Keep that length in the spine as long as you can. And then release all the way down. Relaxing the head here, shoulders, face. Maybe clasping those arms or opposite elbows to just sink down a little bit further. On an exhale, release the bind of the arms. On an inhale, start to lift the head, re-engaging the back. Hands can come to the thighs. Try to find that back bending type posture, basically your cow pose in your spine. And if you can, send the arms back. Take an inhale using the strength in your back to lift you up. Grab hold of the chair. Inhale to press forward for your back bend. And we'll take those 3 elbow bends. So holding the chair, pressing that heart forward. Exhale to squeeze those elbows together, bending them. And relax. Take a breath. On your next exhale, squeeze. And relax. One more time. Trying to keep that chest open, chin lifted. Squeeze those elbows together. And relax. On an inhale, now draw that left knee into the chest. Press actively into that left foot or right foot. Lift up and out. Drawing that spine long and that knee as close into the chest as you can. Releasing the left hand, so holding with just the right. And I should have mentioned on the other side, you can use your towel here if you feel just your grip strength is not great. You can do this with holding the towel. So you're going to twist now on your exhale to that left side. So probably works best without it if you can manage without it, but I just wanted to show that option if you had trouble on the other side. Draw length with each inhale. With each exhale, open that heart as much as you can, any amount more to the left. Trying to send those shoulders down. Deep inhale here. And on your exhale, release. Go ahead and straighten out that left leg. Again, making sure that you're at the very edge of your seat for our hamstring stretch on the other side. Press actively into that right foot. And if you can, if you feel secure enough in hinging forward without having the hands here in front of you, then see if you can clasp those hands behind you. Roll those shoulders up, back, and down. Try to straighten the elbows. Take a deep inhale. On your exhale, hinge forward until you feel that stretch in the back of the leg. You might feel it more actually with the hands behind you than with the hands in front. That's normal. Exhale again, hinge forward. Inhale up. Last time, hinge forward. If you can, hold here, lift the hands any amount further away from the back. But if this is just not feeling right to your body or you feel like you have no stretch in the leg, I'd rather you stretch the leg than trying to attempt to do the chest and leg and not doing it successfully. So see where you'd like to go here. If you're really flexible, you could even release your torso all the way down to the thigh and lift those hands further up. But remember, you're trying to find your edge. You're trying to respect your limitations. So if releasing your abdomen down isn't an option, then don't try it. We want to practice this kindness to ourselves too. On an exhale, release the hands. On an inhale, whenever you're ready to, come on up. Let's take our high lunge to the other side now, and then we'll come to a little standing sequence. So walking those feet over to the right, freeing that left hip this time, root down into that right foot, and probably grabbing the chair here, even if your balance is pretty good. Sending first that knee down underneath the hip. And just rechecking your alignment here, deciding if maybe this is where you want to stay, and maybe you're focusing a little more on a quad stretch and a hip stretch. But if you can, see if you can bring that foot back behind you any amount more, starting to straighten out that back leg. Ribs stay over the hips, so try not to let this happen. It's very common to just want to hinge forward because that decreases the stretch in the hip. It's just our natural laziness. I don't know. Take an inhale to send that left arm up if you can. If you feel secure here, really press actively into the feet. That will help with your feeling of security. Lift that right arm if you can. And we'll take those 3 breaths with our cactus arms. So remember, you can do this with just one arm as well. So you'll inhale, both arms, elbows come out. I'm demoing with my hand down here. Open the chest any amount more, squeeze the shoulder blades. On your exhale, release. Deep inhale again. I'll show both arms this time. And exhale, release. Taking a breath in between. Last time. Inhale, open, squeeze the shoulder blades together, even if you only have the one arm lifted. And exhale, release. Now, if you can, and both arms are up, trying to join the palms together, interlace the fingers. Those pointer fingers remain. Press those shoulders down. It might mean the elbows need to bend quite a lot, and that's okay. On your inhale, see if you can back bend any amount. So you're not just pressing the belly forward. You're keeping the belly engaged. You're pressing the heart forward, lifting the chin, sending those hands back behind you any amount. Shine that love out, y'all. The world needs it. And on an inhale, release the arms. Exhale, relax them down. Relax that back leg. Melt into your chair. Actually, no, we're going to come to standing. So, come on up out of your chair, perhaps through chair pose. Although you might be feeling a little more relaxed today. So you might not want to invigorate with chair pose. But if you want to, go for it. I'm actually just going to come up to standing. I want to keep this sense of relaxed, loving kindness. So you may want to move your chair so that the mat is behind you. I'm going to move my setup, so that should give you time to move if you would like to. But again, if you don't have a mat, then there's no need to move your chair. I'm also going to just shift this so that you can see me better. But basically, you're going to go to lengthwise where you have a bunch of space behind you for your feet. So get yourself set up if you would like. Again, not necessary. Even if you do have a hard floor that you're working on, you don't have to have the mat under your feet, but it just might be nice. Gives you a little more grippiness and a little bit of support under the feet. So we'll be working through a little standing sequence today with kind of leading with the heart. So finding your standing mountain pose, feet are hip width apart, parallel to one another. We're going to bend that right knee and take a fairly big step back with that right foot. Now, train tracks here. So I want to make sure my feet aren't on the same single line if I were tracing lines on my mat. I really want my foot kind of out to the side. And especially if my hips are a little wider, then I want my feet even further apart. So that's you ladies out there. We naturally have wider hips than men. I think you know why. All right, so once you've gotten into this position, bend into that front knee. And if you need to, walk that front foot forward. So if you want a little bit more leg activation, then you're going to walk that foot forward. Both hips are shining forward like headlights. Heart shining forward. Warrior one. From here, slowly start to straighten out that front leg without locking it. Push the butt back and start to hinge the chest forward. Pyramid pose. You'll feel that stretch in the back of that front leg. And from here, either stay here. If you have terrible, awful balance, probably stay here. If you have only sort of awful balance, then see if you can transition to warrior three. So you're going to bend that left foot or left knee, come on to the right toes, shift that weight into the hands and into that left foot, and lift that right leg. Still trying to keep the hips squared, this time down to the ground. And then go ahead and release back into warrior one. I'm going to try that 2 more times. So this is our balance work today. We're not going to do a standing balance. This transitioning is where we're getting our balance work. So warrior one. And y'all, if you want even more of a challenge, try with the left arm up in all of your transitions. So either both hands are on the chair or you're following with me. Straighten that left leg without locking it. Start to push the butt back, lower the chest forward. Triangle. Pausing here for a breath or two. Start to bend into that left foot. Can kind of push off with the right toes. Coming to your warrior three. Square those hips. So really it should feel kind of like you're dropping that right hip down. And bending that left knee. Stepping that right foot back one more time in warrior one. Straightening that leg one more time in pyramid. Of course, we'll do all that on the other side next. And bending that left knee one more time to your warrior three. Really try to push off with that back foot if you're having trouble. And from here, let's slowly come up to standing. So as I lower my leg, I'm lifting my torso. Take an inhale, sending both arms up as long as your balance is okay. And exhale, release those arms. All right. Shake it out if you need to. Let's get ready to do that sequence on the other side now. So finding that Tadasana. You know, I regretfully forgot to mention, hopefully you figured it out, but you're pretty close to the chair on this one to start. not touching, but just, I don't know, what is that, 4 inches, 4 to 6 inches. So from here, shifting slightly into that right foot, bending that left knee, big step back, and out to the side a little bit with that left foot. And good news is, if you step that foot back and it doesn't feel like it's in the right place, you can always shift it around. So again, you want to feel the train tracks with your feet. You can kind of look down and check them out. About a 45-degree angle with that back foot. And bending into that right foot when you're ready. So right knee, we're trying to get it over the ankle. If you can, actually let's everyone do this first round with both hands on the chair so you feel secure and then ready to maybe lift one arm. So deep inhale here, open that chest any amount, but the ribs, we almost want to feel like we're pressing them back and a little bit down towards the navel. But at the same time, opening the chest. So it's kind of like weird opposing forces, but it helps really work the proper mechanics and keep our spine safe. Start to push the hips back, straighten that front leg, and drop the chest forward, pyramid. Make sure, again, you're not locking that knee out. So I have a little micro bend here. I'm not locking that joint, so I want to keep that slight bend. And from here, the tricky part, bend into that knee again. You're going to push off with that back foot, but not too hard. You don't want to catapult over your chair. But you're going to push off. Use those glutes here to lift that back leg. Warrior 3. And then bending that right knee, stepping that foot back to Warrior 1. If you can now, inhaling that right arm up. Taking a deep breath here. On your exhale, start to straighten the front leg, start to hinge forward and push the hips back to pyramid pose. Bending into that right knee and then pushing off with those left toes, coming to your Warrior 3. Make sure you're breathing throughout all of these movements, just regular or deeper inhales and exhales. One last time. Warrior 1. And if you're getting tired, drop that hand down. Show yourself some love. Or if you know you need the strengthening and you're doing okay, show yourself some love. Keep that arm up. Only you know what the right answer is for you. Slowly start to straighten that front leg, our last pyramid. Nice stretch in the hamstrings. We've prepped for this with all of with a lot of our movements today. Now bending into that front knee. Spring off with those back toes. Warrior 3. If you're feeling really ambitious and your balance is pretty good, you can try to even release that left hand. Maybe it's just coming down to the seat or maybe out. And then from here, slowly coming to standing. So just lowering that leg as you lift the chest and the arm. Once both feet are on the ground, take an inhale to lift both arms. And exhale. Release the hands. Bring those palms together. Thumbs to the heart. Just tapping into that heartbeat for a moment. If you can close your eyes without getting dizzy or losing your balance, then close your eyes here. And just see if you can tap into that heart space. Feeling the beat, perhaps. Love and kindness. On On an exhale, release the hands. And we'll take our final cool down stretch, standing downward dog. As you know, my favorite. Wonderful for chest opening if you can manage to get further back. Now, I wish I had a wall to show you how to do this at the wall. I have something I can bring in here. So we're going to pretend that this podium is our wall, or if you have, let's say the chair is just a little too much for you to get all the way back and bring that chest down. If you have something taller or a wall that you can put your hands against. So pretend this is a wall. I'm going to have my hands up as if they were at the wall. You're going to do the same thing. So you're just going to walk back. And that way you're not having to come quite as far down, and you're still getting the chest opening and shoulder opening benefits of this posture. So see if you can find a higher object. Maybe that's like a kitchen counter or the wall, or just something that's a little taller, but make sure it's sturdy. So you wouldn't want to use something like this because it's very lightweight, and you don't want to accidentally knock it over. So come to wherever you can to get that secure stretching. So remember, you're walking those feet back, trying to keep the legs relatively straight, trying to sink that chest and head down. And relaxing here in your final stretch. So go ahead and keep holding that stretch. I'm just going to move this back out of the way. Deep breaths here. And to come out of this pose, slowly lifting the head first, lifting the chest, inching those feet in, nice and steady. Take your time. When we hold a deep stretch like that, we definitely want to come out of it slowly. Make sure you're not dizzy, coming all the way up. And once you feel good, go ahead and get comfortable. So we're going to come to our final relaxation. Either resting in the chair, on the ground. I'm going to give you a refresher for getting on the ground. For those of you that want to bring legs up to the chair, it's super beneficial for your circulation, for your back, and other things, stress relief, other things I'm probably forgetting as well. But to do that, the best way that I've found in teaching chair yoga and working with a bunch of different people and bodies and abilities is to bring those hands to the chair and to come down to either kneeling or seated. And so you want to try to get those feet out in front of you. And you also want to try to shift your hips. And so you can use the chair for support. You want to shift your hips over to the front far corner of the chair. And that's because once you get down on your side, that way you don't have to shift around as much and try to scoot your hips up to the chair. So from here, even when you're down on that elbow, you may want to try to shift those hips to almost touching the chair. Come on down to your side. And then slowly roll onto your back. Getting one leg up and then the other. And those legs are just resting in the chair. I'm going to shift my box out of the way, my sound box. All right. And those feet are relaxed up in the chair. Arms can open out by the sides, palms up. If you're sitting in your chair, laying on your couch, wherever you are, just start to let the eyes close. start to feel that sense of heaviness and release in the body. With each exhale, just let go of any little parts of your body that are holding tension, where you're using muscle effort. With each exhale, just let it go a little bit more. And if you'd like to work with a little more visualization here as you relax, just begin to see again that golden flame at the space of your heart. And as much as you can, try to feel an actual sense of warmth, of love, of kindness, gratitude, service. And as you breathe here, each inhale just spreads that warmth, that glow, that light, that love a little bit more through your body, expanding out and up and down. Until your whole body is filled with that warmth and glow and love. And then as you keep breathing, those inhales now send that glow beyond the space of your body to fill the room. Anyone else in the room with you. And as you breathe, that love and warmth spreads to your entire apartment or house. See it. Visualize it spreading, shining. And then see it move beyond the space of your apartment or your home or cottage, spreading out to the apartments next to you, to all of the people in those apartments, through the hallways. Or if you're in a cottage, spreading to those attached to you, spreading now beyond the building, out towards the entire village. And that speed and warmth and love and glow spreads faster now, out to the entire city. And as it spreads, it moves faster and faster and becomes more powerful, spreading through as far as you can imagine. And just as you feel it spreading, try to make this so with your actions, with your words. Kindness and love. And begin to bring a little bit of movement back to your body now. Moving your fingers and your toes. Making those movements a little bit bigger, ankles and wrists. Oh, I can never not yawn. So maybe you're yawning now as you start to wake the body back up. See if it feels good to stretch out the arms and the legs. And slowly make your way to seated now. If you're on your back on the floor, you can hang out there as long as you like, but to come back up, see if you can draw those knees in towards your chest any amount. This is a great stretch for your back too, by the way. And then send those legs over to either side. So pick a side, roll on to that side. Using that top arm and top leg, you're going to kind of do this number. So you're pressing into the hand and pushing out and straightening that leg at the same time, and probably propping up onto this opposite elbow. So use that momentum and mechanics of straightening that leg out to bring you up. And then just kind of shifting to bringing those feet out in front of you. Use your chair here. So you may have to kind of shift those hips away, shift those feet around and over. Use that chair however you need to press maybe up to one knee. And then maneuver yourself into that chair. And don't worry if you're still working on it. Take your time. But I do just want to thank you all so much for joining me today with this practice, for sending your love to someone else and maybe to everyone else around you. And I hope that you enjoy the practice, that you feel a sense of openness in this space. Maybe we've stimulated that thymus gland. That would be cool because we all need immune boost right now. But at the very least, hopefully you just feel a little more open, a little more relaxed. And if you did like the guided meditation and visualization, let me know. Call me, email me, because I might expand the offerings in the near future. Thank you again for practicing with me today. Namaste. And I hope you have a wonderful day. I'll see you next time. Bye.